Well, we had so much fun hanging out in the backyard living room last Saturday that I thought it would be fun to kind of do a follow-up to that, show some more piddling that I was doing that afternoon. Also talk a little bit about some of the questions that you had in response to that video, and maybe share with you a little behind the scenes of what went on after we turned the camera off. So what do you say, Stuart?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, as you notice, it is really bright and sunny today, unlike last weekend when it was overcast. It has been overcast, it seems like forever, Stuart, and finally we are getting some bright sunshine. Now, this obviously has forced me to put on some sunnies, but the other thing that it has done is make some of my plants, well, they just can't handle the sun either after being in that much shade, even sun lovers like little Miss Figgy. So if you've got plants in your garden that look wilted like this, they kind of look like they just can't handle the sun, it's because they haven't been tempered to the sun because it's been so cloudy. It does not mean that they need water. It does not mean that they are really sick. It just means that they, like you, are adjusting to the bright light. So that is the number one thing that I wanted to point out. Probably the little Miss Figgy on the other side that I was so happy finally did decide to show up for the party. That one is probably not wilted and drooping because it's in a little bit more shade. Okay, something else that I am itching to do, but I'm not going to do right now because it is too sunny, and that is some of these zinnia seeds. And I will show you the package of which ones, which color I'm planting back here. These zinnia seeds, number one, are being chewed on a little bit. They are too close to this Akita dahlia that I planted, and they really need to be relocated in and around that dahlia. Now, my inclination is to do it right now. With this little fork, all I have to do is just prick it out and relocate it to another area. But I'm not going to do that now. Why? Because it's a little bit too sunny and it might be a little too stressful on that little seedling. So I'm going to do that later. But I did want to point out to you that yes, it is too close and I need to redistribute them. Fortunately, zinnia seedlings I found are very, very forgiving, and you can relocate them from one area to another without too much of a problem. Now let's take a little break here, and when we come back I'm going to show you, well, let's just say an alternative to the first iteration of the plan I had for these blank brick walls. Well, as promised, these are the zinnias that I planted in the back, and you can see that they've already germinated. They germinated, I want to say, in like 3 days, and I anticipate that they will grow very rapidly since we've had good rainfall, but also because the heat is starting to arrive. And here they are, Coral Beauty zinnias. These have flowers that are about 4.5 to 5 inches double, semi-double form of the blooms, and they are the perfect color echo to the blooms on these variegated New Guinea impatiens that are here. So as you can tell, I guess my muse for the colors back here, I wanted red tones, but my muse, if you can point to the direction of the pillows, is basically if something is in that tonal range in those pillows, then I'm going to use it as a floral accent in the backyard. These, you may recall, were situated over there in a little bit more shade by one of the plant stands, but I thought they made more of an impact running up and down the steps. I put them in some plant stands. I didn't even switch them out of their plastic pots because you really can't even see the plastic pots. So that's okay. And they're heavy enough that they're secure in these plant stands without blowing over. Now you'll notice that this one seems fine. But speaking of sunshine wilting, this one just moments ago really was wilting. It was doing that flagging thing where this intensity of the sun was just a little bit much, but it seems to have recovered a little bit. And like I say, I kind of like the way they look running up and down the stairs. So this is going to be another accent color of mine in addition to the red from the geraniums, the red from the creeping verbena, red verbena that I keep deadheading because I want those blooms to keep coming. And then in their place, I put these Kimberly Queen fern in these large Italian terracotta pots. Now, someone was asking, where did I get these? I got these at Bricks. I want to say they were about $35 each, but I got these at Bricks. I love them, and I really like them because they kind of match the Italian clay that I like to use for many of my topiary. Now, the topiary, another answer to some of your questions. You asked, what about my myrtle topiary? Where do I get it? Well, I've gotten it historically and recently from Passiflora, Kalamazoo, up in Michigan. My friend Angie up there gets them to me. Now, for a while, I know some of you ordered and they just were on back order. She must have really sold out, but you might try again. I've got them here, all congregated in this basket, because some of the more lightweight ones I didn't want to have on the plant stand because they just weren't steady enough to be able to withstand some of the high winds we had last night. So I need to repopulate my plant stand with these. Now, bless you, Leah. Bless you. Leah is, while we are piddling, she is, speaking of populating, she is populating the table because we're going to have a charcuterie board and some other things here momentarily. Now, another reason that I sometimes aggregate them like this is before I go out of town, I typically put them all together in something that holds water. I've got a great big tray. That way, whoever waters for me while I am gone, all they have to do is make sure that the tray has water in it, and they don't. Leah's going, it's me, it's me. And she doesn't have to worry about individually watering each one of those small pots. Now, as I said earlier, some of those I am going to be transplanting into larger containers for that very reason. Some of them just aren't strong enough and heavy enough to stand up against our wind, and I really like them on this plant stand here in the corner. Now, this plant stand, I believe, is one of those things that is still available on my QVC line. We'll put a link below. This is 4 of them put together, and I think it's kind of fun. And I may have mentioned earlier, I think that would be so fun at Christmas time, filled with nothing but evergreens and maybe some white poinsettias. So that's something that I'm doing now in and amongst all of my piddling. Here is another example of not so much heat stressed because it's not even that hot, but these are sun stressed plants that haven't yet really adjusted to the sunshine because it's been so cloudy. Am I worried about them? No, I'm not. And I know that later in the day, after they've had some shade and the sun isn't at such a strong angle, later in the day, all of that will recover. It won't be a problem. And so I know that they don't need water because it rained last night, and I do know that they will be fine in the long run. So let's take a break here and I'll show you some other things. Attention, new gardeners. Here is a way you can get more plants basically for free. This is a beautiful, beautiful begonia. I had it last year. I bought it in a hanging basket at a farmer's market, and I overwintered it in the greenhouse. Now, when I got it out of the greenhouse, it was very leggy, and all of the stems were about this long, and the plant itself just wasn't bushy enough. So you can see where I took some cuts, made some cuts, and wherever I made the cut, at that leaf node point, you can see that it's putting out new leaves and new foliage in general. Now, as an example of what I did, here is just that. So I can cut this at any point just above or just below the leaf node, but here I see that there's already a new leaf that is about to project out of here, and perhaps a new stem. So that's where I'm going to make the cut. Just use some sharp scissors, and there I have my cut. Now at this point, I can do a couple of different things. I can use this in a cut flower arrangement, and it would be really, really beautiful. I could use that in the short term, or I can do what I did earlier when I took all of those cuttings. And by the way, let's take a detour, Stuart. I not only have it in that pot right there, I have some in this shadier location up here in between these 2 boxwood. And you can see that even in the shady location, it's got a little bit less light over here, that it's also coming out with new leaves. And pretty soon this really will be full. It'll be very bushy, and well, it will just look a little bit happier in that location. But back to our original plan. And this is where new gardeners should pay attention. Of course, old gardeners, most of you out there, and by old I mean experienced, you out there know how you take a cutting, whether it's of coleus or anything that's just got a fleshy stem. You can even do this with some woody plants like boxwood. Remove the bottom leaves and just stick it in the ground. We did that with hollies on the Wednesday walkabout. But here, these are the ones that I took earlier. And if you look, see all these white dots on here? Those white dots eventually turn into little roots. Can you see the roots, Stuart? Okay. At this point, I'll probably let these grow on in this fresh water for a little bit longer. And I do find they set out roots, new roots, much more easily when you put them in a container like this that's clear glass and you change the water periodically. But I can take them and either singly like this, or I could put 3 or 4 in one pot and they will turn into just new plants. And that's a way to get free plants from your old one. Again, you experienced gardeners know this, but if you are new to gardening, you may not. And it's something that not only is very effective, it's cost effective, it's fun, you can get more of the same kind of plants that you love. But the other thing is, sometimes I just forget that you can do this. And it's a good, gentle reminder to all of us that we often don't need to buy a bunch of new plants in a bunch of plastic containers. Indeed, we can make our own. And this is also a good idea if you want to make some of these and use them for gifts. Now, this is coming out with some new foliage here and here. So in short order, once it's, I'll keep it in a little bit more shade while its root system is getting established, just by planting them up in regular potting soil. I could make that potting soil a little bit lighter by adding some vermiculite or something, and I'll probably do that. Some of them, over time, like this one, some of the leaves might get a little bit crunchy, and in that case, then I'll just pinch them off. It still has new growth coming out. It's got new roots coming out from the base of the stem. And I can just pot up several of these in the container, and then if I want it even fuller, I can pinch them out. So I've got enough here that I can easily fill this pot with these cuttings. And again, in short order, I'll have another container of this beautiful begonia. This beautiful, it almost looks like, it's got an angel wing begonia leaf. It almost looks like a Rex begonia. I'm not exactly sure of the variety, but it's beautiful. Now, another reason I love it is because I think the coloration on this is very suitable for the kind of vibe I've got in the backyard. And look how beautiful it looks in combination and in tandem with this red fountain grass. Some wonderful color echoes that I think will be really beautiful when this pot is positioned with that pot. And the pots themselves kind of speak the same language, as do the colors and the coloration in both of these types of plants. Now, what I love about this is not only is it beautiful now, but it's going to be beautiful into the fall, later into the summer and into the fall, and I think it's lovely. I also would be remiss if I didn't point out just how, even when the leaves become tattered, how beautiful they look on the opposite side. The color is really beautiful. So if you just couldn't bear to get rid of this beautiful leaf, then you could just press it and do something with it. Put it in a book or do something with it, because it's equally as beautiful on that side, I think, as on this side. So there you go. That's a way to get free plants in a very quick and easy and DIY kind of way. Okay, speaking of free plants, here is another way that you can easily make more of what you already have. And from a design perspective, I think sometimes it is so much more dramatic, if you have more of one kind of plant or more of a fewer kinds of plants than a hodgepodge, a million different varieties of a million different kinds of plants, because a bold block of color, a bold block of the same type of greenery really is effective in the garden, even in a small garden like this one. So back to how do you get a free plant. This is a smooth hydrangea, also called Annabelle. Most of you are familiar with it. If you are new to gardening, this is one of the easiest hydrangeas to grow. It puts out buds on new growth. You don't have to worry about it freezing out. It's easy to propagate. It's easy to use as a cut flower, and overall it's just very attractive in the garden. It's also easy to transplant. I've got 3 right here, all of which I moved from the other house to this one, and they are performing brilliantly. They're pretty unfussy about soil and need minimum care. Now, how do I make more of these? This could not be easier. I probably could, and probably have, cut some of these branches, not where it's woody, but where it's still fleshy and green. I probably could cut it right there, stick it in some water, and I bet it probably would root, not unlike the begonias that I just did. But this is even easier. It's a little bit faster in terms of making a plant in and of itself with its own integrity, and that is a process called layering. So all I did to layer this, and this is about as mindless as it gets, you guys. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a video on heavy clay soil, and this is just a perfect example. This is dark black heavy clay, but nevertheless it's high in nutrition, and also it doesn't seem to me to be phasing in any way this Annabelle hydrangea. So what I did was I just took one of these branches here that was still green and still pliable, and I just gently bent it over. So,
oh yeah, I forgot this.
Yeah, layering, so that there's contact between this leaf node right here and the ground. Now I could put a little pick in here. I could put a metal pick, not unlike that is right there around the drip line. Can you see that there?
I'm trying to see
secure, right here.
Oh,
to
yeah,
secure the drip line, I could use a pick like that, and I have, but I'm lazy. I don't want to find another pick. So what I did in this case, you can see where I did one earlier, is I just took a piece of heavy clay from some previous planting I did, and I just set it.
Hold her down.
I just set it on top. And over time, when it makes contact with the soil, it's going to send out rootlets at the point, at the leaf node, where the leaf meets the stem. That's the leaf node. And I'm just going to put this block of clay over it. That will do a couple of things. It applies pressure so that there's good stem to soil contact. It also will help provide moisture, because clay soil holds the moisture really well, and it will give it moisture on top and also on the bottom. And over time, this is going to turn into its own plant. Now, I could leave it here to fill this gap, or ultimately, over time, maybe by the end of the summer, I could sever it from the mother plant right here, dig this up, and transplant it to another location.
You made your own new plant.
You made your own new plant through the miracles of layering and good knees. So there you go, how to get free plants from plants you already have. Well, last week, after I was finished piddling in the backyard, and after the girls kindly brought me over that wonderful loaf of sourdough bread, I decided that I needed to do something neighborly in kind, and I invited Jenny and Matt, the parents, over, and the kids, and we had a couple bottles of wine. We had a big charcuterie tray. We sat around the fire. It was absolutely fun. They are so busy that we don't have a chance to do that very often, because the kids are at that age where they're always coming and going. So it was wonderful to be able to sit down and catch up. So I thought, since today we are also doing some piddling out in the garden, and since Leah is finally better, she is recovered, her friend Britt is here, Stuart is here, Hubs is on his way, that we would recreate that moment And so we have a wonderful charcuterie board that Leah put together. We've started on our first bottle of wine. Hello, ladies. The remaining bottles
Do we
of
have a
wine.
place? Maybe over here?
Yeah, you can put it on that side. The remaining bottles of wine, in case we have more guests, is in here in this little ice chest
Look at it.
side table. Stuart, you're
love a
paying attention to
charcuterie
Leah.
board.
and
Well,
not
I
paying
thought the
attention
charcuterie
to-
board
That's-
was what we were supposed to be looking at.
No, I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
I'm trying to get it all.
Why can't you be in two places at once, Stuart? But anyhow, additional bottles of wine are in here in the ice chest coffee table, which I do adore. It also comes in different colors. And now we can go to the charcuterie.
Okay.
And behind the scenes, Leah, this is true, is it not? What? Stuart.
Uh-oh.
Stuart has been hovering, has been circling the charcuterie board all afternoon. We've had to slap his hand from messing up the charcuterie before it had its on-camera moment.
It's true, but it's also true that I'm the only one that hasn't eaten anything off of that yet.
Well,
We've been snacked.
but we know how to do it selectively without messing up the aesthetic. Okay, so this moment came together. I guess what we should do first of all is this moment is sponsored by Manakora honey filled.
Covered in goat cheese.
Yes, covered in goat cheese with antibiotics, prebiotics. More importantly, it tastes like
We eat it on
oh my
every
gosh,
day,
liquid
every day.
deliciousness. As soon as Leah said she was starting to get sick, I told her you need to take a great big old spoonful of that Manakora honey. Now the reason it's on our charcuterie tray is because, and I do speak from experience because I had it last weekend, I just took a great big old wedge, and Britt, if you would go ahead and break that baguette up into some wedges and put it on that cake stand right there. And I took a great big old wedge of that sourdough bread, slathered it with some goat cheese, drizzled some Manakora honey on it, and then sprinkled some toasted pecans on it that have a little bit of cayenne and salt in it. And it was absolutely, divine, darling. Okay, the other things we've got going, I guess our other sponsor, even though it's technically not a company, is my absolute love / obsession / passion for all of this type of rattan. Bali inspired rattan. I talked about it last, I don't remember when we posted that
Mother's Day
video.
stuff.
I think it was on Tuesday. All of these rattan things. This is actually the top to that tray table. And Leah just styled it with some of these baskets and brought it out. We also have some of the napkins that she selected. These are the napkins that she picked out. She bought these on Amazon.
Remember this butterfly we
But
thrifted?
look at the thrifted butterfly she got. And what I love is we have honored that wood moment. Britt, if you would expose the
Thank you.
wood cake stand that I bought years and years ago thrifted. So I'd like to kind of repeat a
This
material.
candle is from an Oklahoma company, a local. He pours those candles.
And I got that
called
as a
tall
gift.
grass. Yep.
I got that as a gift from somebody who came to visit the cottage. I love it. The stand to the ice bucket is also rattan. We bought that online, and then Thrifted meets Amazon. We put a thrifted square vase. Isn't that fun, Britt? Isn't that fun?
In so many
We
ways.
have used it in so many ways, and we just set it inside that, and then it kind of completes this theme along with the baskets and everything else. Underneath here, we just have some appetizer plates. And what else we got going? Oh, I love these glasses that come in the little wicker holders. Now, I got these years ago from Terrain, but if we can find something similar online, these are multicolored. I've seen them in sets where they're all kind of a straw color. But these are fun, I think, because they're varied. And what I like about that is that I can identify which wine glass is mine. And we all, because I'm always losing my wine glass and my coffee cup, and we can all identify which is ours. And I think that's kind of a fun thing. And then what would any entertaining tableau be for me if I did not have a topiary on it?
Or 3.
Or 3. And then Leah, tell me what we put on your charcuterie tray.
We have smoked Gouda, blue cheese, peppers. Oh, goat cheese for the
Goat
honey.
cheese, yes.
You had this amazing jelly and salsa, some different crackers, some
And
different
by the way,
meats.
excuse me for interrupting, but this is a way that all of those kind of gift items you get, edible gift items that you get around Christmas and they sit in your pantry and you never use them,
Yes.
it's time to bring those out and put them on your charcuterie.
And they're
And
so
when we
good.
did that, Leah discovered this one, which was what?
It's salsa, right?
It's a really good spicy
That's
sweet
what I gave
salsa.
Stuart
Yeah.
to eat inside.
All I know is it
He's
kept
been
me
busy
off the
for a
board.
minute.
Yeah, really yummy. And this is some kind of, is it?
Jelly.
Yes,
It's like a
some kind of
jalapeno jelly.
Yeah.
Spicy jellies.
And
And
the
then-
charcuterie board has a place for the crackers.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was cool.
Okay, so I'm terrible.
Handles on the side too.
Yes, handles on the side. You can turn it up and down. You can see because you can use it one side or the other side. But what I love about this is that it was given to me by Tay and Jay, by my son and daughter-in-law for Christmas. They are the
good gift.
king and queens of charcuterie. And in fact, I just ordered a charcuterie book because, this is how I think of charcuterie. Maybe with a lot, I'll probably have another tray later where we'll bring out vegetables and things like that from the farmer's market. But if you think outside the charcuterie box, you can do sweets, you can do all
outside the
sorts of
charcuterie
stuff,
box.
all sorts of fun stuff.
Charcuterie board,
Yes,
yeah.
and I like to make what I call apple crackers and slice them real thinly this way. And yes, slather those. Matt really liked that. Slather those with the goat cheese. And then also a gift from another follower is we had these kind of, they look like olives, but they are
They're matcha covered.
matcha covered sweet pistachios.
Oh, yes.
And they're pretty yum. They're very, very yum. So, thank you guys for hanging out with me in the backyard again. Thank you for helping us demonstrate how to make free plants out of plants that you already have. A few more things going on in our backyard living room. And, well, what can I say? We wish you were all here to join us for a glass of wine and a little bit of charcuterie. See you later.